Careful. Don't miss your train. Jason smirked, phone already raised, the red recording light blinking like an accusation. Smile for the camera, Lana, my mother chimed in, voice dipped in mock sweetness. We don't want to miss your meltdown. And then came the soft, poisonous whisper from my cousin Kayla. Can't wait to see her face when she realizes the ticket's fake. The laughter that followed wasn't loud. It was worse. It was knowing, sharp, intentional, like a blade pressed slowly against my skin. The departure board above me blinked once, twice, and then the word, I'll never forget, canceled. It wasn't a delay. It wasn't bad luck. It was them. By the way, this channel is still new, and your support means the world to me. Please subscribe and like this video. Let's hit 1,000 subscribers together. And when you subscribe, comment below what number subscriber you became. I'll be reading every single one. Hi, I'm Lana, I'm 29, and that was the moment I realized my family's idea of fun was watching me drown. People rushed past with suitcases, earbuds in, lives moving forward. And there I was, luggage at my feet, humiliation burning through my chest like wildfire. It wasn't about a train. It was about power. About reminding me, again, that I was the joke. My phone buzzed. Jason, relax, just a prank. Mom, don't be so dramatic. Kayla, you'll figure it out. Or not. They pictured me pacing, crying, calling for a ride home like I always did. But this time, something inside me cracked. Or maybe it woke up. See, I wasn't just their punchline. I was their provider. The one who paid the phone bills when Mom forgot. The one who lent Jason money when his business failed. Again. The one who co-signed Kayla's apartment because family helps family. Family. That word suddenly tasted like rust in my mouth. The ache in my chest cooled into something sharper. Focus. If they thought this was funny, if they thought I'd keep dancing for their entertainment, they were about to learn how quickly a lifeline can become a noose. I opened my banking app. The blue glow from the screen reflected in the station glass. A mirror I almost didn't recognize myself in. One tap, that's all it would take. One tap to stop the money, the bailouts, the safety net. Cancel recurring transfers, block shared cards, revoke account access. My thumb trembled, not from doubt, but from the weight of freedom. The PA system crackled. Next departure in 10 minutes. I stared at my reflection again. My eyes were dry, my shoulders steady, and for the first time in years, I whispered words meant only for me. Enough. The platform doors hissed open. A train, not the one they'd sabotaged, but a new one, waited. I stepped inside, suitcase rolling smoothly behind me. As the wheels clacked against the track, the rhythm felt like applause. Applause for every boundary I was about to build. My phone buzzed again. Kayla. Bet you're crying. Want a ride? Say sorry first. A laugh, real, unbroken, escaped my lips. Not bitter, not angry, just free. Outside, the city blurred into streaks of gold and gray. Behind me, the life I'd known was unraveling. And I didn't care. It started with one ping. Mom. Lana, did you forget to pay the power bill? It's overdue. Then another. Jason. Yo, card declined. Send it back. I'm at the grocery store. And another. Kayla. Rent payment failed. This isn't funny. I read them slowly, like poetry. No one asked if I was safe. No one asked if I made the train. Their panic had one root. Money. The conductor appeared. Tickets, please. I handed him mine. Valid, glowing green. And I smiled at the irony. They'd left me stranded, but they were the ones about to be left behind. The messages came faster. Mom, we can't even order food. Jason. The bank says the account's locked. What did you do? Kayla, please. I'm serious. I need that money. I didn't reply. I just whispered to the cold window. Let the silence teach you. By the time we reached the next city, my phone was a hive of desperation. Missed calls stacked on top of voicemails. Their names flashing like ghosts. I played one. Jason's voice, usually smug, cracked. Lana, this isn't funny. My card got declined at the gas station. Do you know how embarrassing that is? Fix it. Now. Embarrassing. Right. Like being stranded at a station for strangers to watch wasn't. Another voicemail. Mom this time. Her tone shaky. Honey, please. The mortgage didn't go through. We're getting notices. Call me. Don't make this worse, please. Don't make this worse. Funny. How many times had I begged them for the same thing? The train slowed. I stepped into a city where no one knew me. No baggage, no history, no chains. The air smelled like rain and neon. Freedom. The phone buzzed again. A video call from Kayla. For a second, I let it connect. Her hair was a mess. Her voice was trembling. Lana, stop this. The kids are hungry. The fridge is empty. You can't just click, end call. I stared at my own reflection on the dark screen. For years, I had been their net. Tonight, I had cut the ropes. The hotel room I booked wasn't fancy. The wallpaper peeled. The bed squeaked. But it was mine. No guilt. No manipulation. No begging. The messages poured in like prayers to a God they never believed in. Until now, Mom. Mortgage overdue. Please answer, Jason. We need the money back. Now. Kayla. I can't get groceries. The kids. I scrolled slowly, savoring every word. Because for the first time, they were the ones stranded. And I was finally free. The hotel room hummed softly, the old radiator clanking in protest against the autumn chill. I lay on my back staring at the water-stained ceiling, my phone face down beside me, vibrating in frantic bursts every few minutes. Each buzz was another slice of panic from the people who once called themselves my family. Heartless. That was the latest message from my sister, Emily. 2 words. Sharp, precise, meant to cut deep. For 4 years, they fed on my kindness and called it duty. They mocked my generosity, dressed my obedience up as weakness. But the moment the feeding stopped, suddenly I was the villain. I rolled over, picked up the phone, and typed slowly, each word deliberate. You thought leaving me stranded was funny. Now you can live stranded too. I hit send. 3 dots appeared. Typing, erasing, typing again. Their fear was tangible, even through a screen. I turned the phone off. The hum of the air conditioner was my applause. For the first time in my life, I wasn't their safety net. I was the knife that cut them loose. I closed my eyes and pictured their kitchen. Mom pacing, Jason shouting into his phone, Kayla crying into her hands, Emily clutching her kids. Their lives, built on my sacrifices, were now crumbling, brick by borrowed brick, and for the first time, I didn't feel sorry. Morning light slipped through the thin curtains, washing the faded carpet in a soft gold glow. I switched my phone back on, and the screen exploded with notifications. Missed calls, unread texts, voice messages stacked like confessions. I listened one by one. Mom. Lana, sweetheart. Please, we didn't mean it. It was a stupid joke. You know we love you. Jason. So what? You're punishing us now? Think you're better than us because you've got a little money? Don't forget where you came from. Emily. Sobbing. The kids don't understand why there's no food. How can you do this to your own family? Every word was designed to pull me back in, to wrap me again in the same heavy blanket of guilt I'd carried for years. But guilt only works when love is real. What they gave me wasn't love. It was control, wrapped in the language of family. I opened a new message thread and typed, steady and calm. Family doesn't strand one of their own at a train station for fun. Family doesn't laugh at someone's pain. Don't use that word with me again. Send. Then I tossed the phone aside and let the silence swallow their manipulations whole. The city outside was alive, horns blaring, voices drifting through open windows, the world spinning on without them. I sipped the bitter hotel coffee and thought of every time I'd sacrificed pieces of myself for their comfort, the extra shifts I'd worked so Jason could get back on his feet, only for him to blow the money on a Vegas weekend. The nights I covered Mom's late fees while she ordered new dresses online. The holidays where my modest gifts were met with mocking laughter. And now their apologies, fragile, hollow, lay at my feet. and for the first time, I didn't feel the need to pick them up. If they want forgiveness, I whispered into the quiet, let them earn it, the way I earned every dollar they wasted. By evening, their tone shifted. The crocodile tears dried up, replaced by unfiltered panic. Jason. The bank froze the account. They're threatening collections. Mom. They're talking foreclosure. Please, please talk to me. Emily. The kids are hungry. If you don't help, you'll regret this forever. Regret. The word used to haunt me. Every time I said yes when I should have said no. Every time I forgave what I should have walked away from. Tonight, regret was theirs to carry. I sat at the small desk by the window, the city lights blinking below, and began typing a final message. Not out of anger, but truth. I didn't walk away. You pushed me. Every laugh at my expense, every prank at my dignity, every demand without gratitude. This is the bill you never thought would come due. Now you're paying it. Send, 3 dots, typing, pausing, deleting, typing again. Finally, Mom's reply. You don't mean this. You're just upset. I stared at the screen, then typed my last message of the night. No, Mom. I'm finally calm. And that's what should scare you. I powered off my phone. Their desperation, their chaos. It would stay trapped in unanswered bubbles of text. The silence wasn't empty. It was holy, a hymn I'd been waiting my whole life to hear. I leaned back in the creaky chair, listening to the sounds of the city. Distant sirens, faint music from a nearby bar, the steady rhythm of my heartbeat finally finding peace. I wasn't their wallet. I wasn't their emotional punching bag. I wasn't the punchline to their cruelty. I was just Lana. And that was finally enough. The next morning, the sun was merciless, golden, unrelenting, daring me to step fully into the new life I'd chosen. My phone lay silent on the nightstand, not because they'd stopped calling, but because I still hadn't turned it back on. Their words. Their chaos, their endless needs. None of it had permission to enter my space anymore. I walked to a small cafe down the street, the smell of roasted coffee beans wrapping around me like comfort I hadn't known I needed. The soft chatter of strangers, the clink of ceramic mugs, it felt real. It felt alive, I could breathe. Not plan, not fix, just breathe. For the first time in years, I wasn't calculating who needed what from me. As I stirred sugar into my coffee, I let myself imagine them. Not with anger, but clarity. Mom pacing, Jason shouting, Emily crying, Kayla scheming. They had all built their worlds on the unspoken truth that I would always catch them. But now they were learning how to stand, or how to fall, on their own. And here's the thing. I didn't want them ruined. I didn't want them starving or homeless. My revenge wasn't about destruction. It was about revelation. They mistook my silence for weakness. Now that same silence was the loudest lesson of their lives. I finished my coffee slowly, savoring every sip like a victory. In my bag was a folder. Job listings for a new city, a new life. One where my name wasn't tied to anyone else's debt. One where my laughter wasn't followed by theirs. When I stepped outside, the air felt different. Crisp, wide, infinite. The train they'd once stranded me from was long gone. But it had carried more than passengers. It had taken the last pieces of who I used to be. What it left behind was someone unrecognizable, strong, untethered, whole. They thought they stranded me. I whispered to the morning air, but I was the one who finally left them behind. 3 days passed before I turned my phone back on. The screen exploded like fireworks. 87 missed calls, 63 voicemails, 112 messages. Panic in digital form. But what caught my eye wasn't the number. It was the change in tone. This wasn't anger anymore. It was fear. I scrolled past the usual please. Please call. We're sorry. We'll make it right. Until one message stopped me cold. Mom. The bank sent a final notice. If we don't pay by Friday, they'll start foreclosure. For a moment, I just stared at the text. Not because I felt guilty, but because it was proof. Proof that the structure of dependency they'd built on my back was collapsing, and they had no idea how to stand without me. Then came Jason's voicemail, his voice unsteady. "Lana, they repossessed my car. I couldn't make the payment without the transfer. I need a ride to work. Please, just help me out this once." This once. Funny. I'd heard those words before. Every time I bailed him out, every time I covered for his mistakes. Just this once had become a lifestyle. Emily's voice followed, trembling and thin. "The kids are asking why the lights don't work." I told them it's a power outage, but they're scared. "Lana, I'm begging you. You're their aunt. Please." It would have gutted me once. It would have broken me. But not now. Not anymore, because this wasn't about the kids. It never had been. It was about control, using their fear to pull me back into the web I'd finally escaped. I left the phone on the bed and walked to the window. Outside, the city buzzed, people rushing to work, delivery trucks rumbling by, couples laughing on the sidewalk. Life didn't pause just because they were unraveling, and neither would I. But as I stood there, a thought crept in, quiet and unwelcome. Was I being cruel? Was I turning into them? I shook the thought away. This wasn't cruelty. This was consequence. And consequences were always hardest for those who'd never faced them before. That night, I walked through the city alone, the neon lights painting the pavement in fractured color. Every corner reminded me of a different version of myself. The girl who dropped everything for a midnight phone call. The woman who skipped meals to pay someone else's bills. The daughter who swallowed humiliation because family is family. I wasn't her anymore. I stopped at a small diner, ordered black coffee, and opened a blank email on my laptop. My fingers hovered over the keys as I debated what to write. Should I offer help? A warning? A final goodbye? The cursor blinked, patient and unforgiving. Finally, I typed, "You taught me that love is measured by how much someone sacrifices. But love isn't sacrifice, it's respect. And until you learn that, I have nothing left to give." I read it twice, then I deleted it. They didn't deserve a warning. Not yet. The next morning, there was a knock on my hotel door. Hard, urgent, relentless. I peered through the peephole and froze. Jason, unshaven, exhausted, eyes wild. He looked nothing like the brother who once laughed at my tears. "Lana, open the door," he called. "We need to talk." My pulse quickened, but I didn't move. He pounded again. "Please, I need to explain." Explain? What was there to explain? That leaving me stranded was a joke? That my humiliation was entertainment? "Go home, Jason," I said through the door. "There's nothing left to say." "No," he snapped. "You don't understand. Mom's falling apart. Emily's losing it. Kayla's blaming everyone. We're scared. Scared. Good. Then maybe," I said quietly, "you'll think twice before laughing next time." Silence stretched, and then his voice broke, the bravado gone. "We were wrong, okay? We were horrible. Just, please, don't let us lose everything." I almost opened the door. Almost. But then I remembered standing on that platform, their laughter echoing in my ears. I remembered the messages mocking my pain. I remembered the years of sacrifice dismissed as duty. "No, Jason," I whispered. "I'm not saving you this time." Hours later, another knock. Softer, hesitant. This time it was Mom. "Lana, honey," she said, voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I should have stopped them. I should have protected you." My heart twisted, just a little, because that was the apology I'd been waiting to hear my entire life. But apologies without accountability are just words. "Mom," I said, leaning against the door. "Do you even understand what you did to me?" A pause. "We were stupid, mean. I see that now. Do you?" I shot back. "Do you understand that you didn't just cancel a train ticket? You canceled me. Every time you laughed, every time you dismissed my pain, you erased who I was." She sniffled. "We love you, Lana. We just didn't know how to show it." I closed my eyes. "Then maybe you should learn. Without me." And I walked away from the door. That night, I sat on the hotel bed, staring at the ceiling again. Only this time, the silence wasn't heavy. It was powerful. They were finally feeling what I had felt for years. Alone, desperate, powerless. And while a part of me ached for them, the part that still believed in forgiveness, a larger part knew this was necessary. They couldn't grow if I kept saving them. They couldn't change if I kept cushioning their fall. My phone buzzed one last time before I drifted to sleep. Emily, we're selling the house. It's the only way to stay afloat. If that's what you want, you win. I stared at the message, 1,000 thoughts colliding in my mind. This was never about winning. It was about ending. Ending the cycle of cruelty, ending the manipulation, ending the version of me that thought love meant saving people who didn't care if I sank. I typed one final message that night, not for them, but for me. I never wanted to win. I just wanted peace. I hit send and turned off the light, and for the first time I slept without nightmares. I didn't plan on seeing them again. Not soon, not ever. But life has a way of forcing confrontations you're not ready for. A week after that last message, a letter slid under my hotel door, handwritten, shaky. It was from Mom. Please meet us. One time, no tricks, no yelling. We just want to talk. Sunday, 2 p.m. The diner near the old house. I stared at it for a long time. My first instinct was to tear it up. But a deeper part of me, the part still craving closure, whispered, go. Not for them. For you. So I did. The diner looked the same as it did when I was a kid. Neon sign buzzing, red vinyl booths with duct tape repairs, the faint smell of burnt bacon clinging to the air. I slid into a corner booth, heart hammering hard enough that I felt it in my throat. 5 minutes later, they walked in. All of them. Mom looked smaller somehow, hair unbrushed, makeup half done. Jason's cocky swagger was gone, replaced with a heaviness that made him look older. Emily held her kids' hands tightly, as if she feared they might disappear. And Kayla wouldn't meet my eyes at all. For a moment, no one spoke. The silence between us was heavier than anything words could carry. Finally, Mom cleared her throat. Thank you for coming. I said nothing. Jason rubbed the back of his neck. We deserve whatever you're going to say. Do you? I asked quietly. Because I don't think you understand what you did. Emily's voice cracked. We were horrible. We know that now. Horrible? I laughed, a sound too bitter to be humor. You didn't just prank me. You humiliated me. You stranded me on a platform like trash. And when I stopped enabling you, suddenly I'm heartless? Lana, Mom whispered, tears welling. We were cruel. And we're sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't erase years of being used. I shot back. Sorry doesn't undo the nights I cried because I was too broke to buy food for myself after paying your bills. Jason's jaw clenched. We never meant... Don't, I cut in. Don't say you never meant it. Because every laugh was deliberate. Every time you called me dramatic, every time you called me weak, you meant it. No one spoke. The kids fidgeted, confused by the tension. Finally, Emily spoke. You're right, all of it. We took advantage of you. We treated your kindness like it was owed to us, and I hate myself for it. I stared at her. For once, her eyes didn't dart away. They held mine, steady and broken. And for the first time, I believed her. Do you know why I cut you off? I asked, my voice trembling. Not because I wanted revenge. Not because I wanted to hurt you. I did it because if I didn't, I would never stop. I'd keep sacrificing until there was nothing left of me. Mom reached for my hand across the table. I didn't move. I know, she said softly. And that's on us. We failed you as a family. There it was. The words I'd needed for so long. We failed you, but forgiveness isn't a switch you can flip. It's a bridge. And they'd burned theirs to the ground. Where do we go from here? Jason asked, voice low. I leaned back in the booth, taking a long breath. That depends on you. Because I'm not going back to being your lifeline. I'm not paying your bills. I'm not solving your problems. If you want me in your life, you meet me as an equal, not a crutch. Mom nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. We'll figure it out. We have to. Kayla finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm looking for a job, a real one. I'm trying, it wasn't much, but it was something. We sat there for nearly 2 hours, talking, crying, arguing. It wasn't neat or magical. It wasn't the tear-soaked reunion from a movie, but it was real. And for the first time in years, I felt like they were listening. As I stood to leave, Mom grabbed my hand gently. Can I ask you something? Depends, I said. Do you hate us? I paused. The question lingered heavy in the air. I don't hate you, I answered. I hate what you did. I hate who you were, but hate isn't what's driving me anymore. What is? She asked. Peace. Outside, the afternoon sun was blinding, the air sharp with the smell of autumn. I walked slowly down the street, each step feeling lighter than the last. Was everything fixed? No, not even close. But something had shifted. For the first time, they weren't demanding, manipulating, or mocking. They were trying, and trying, even if clumsy, even if late, was more than they'd ever done before. That night, as I packed my suitcase to leave the city, my phone buzzed. A new message from Jason. Got my first interview tomorrow. Wish me luck. I want to do this right. Another from Mom. Sold the second car, using the money to catch up on the mortgage. We'll be okay. And from Emily. The kids asked if Aunt Lana still loves them. I told them yes. I hope I was right. I stared at the screen, a lump forming in my throat. They weren't fixed. They weren't forgiven, but they were finally standing on their own. Maybe for the first time in their lives. I typed one message back to Emily. Tell them I do. Always. As the night deepened, I stood by the hotel window watching the city glow beneath me. It wasn't lost on me how far I'd come. From the girl stranded on a train platform to the woman standing here now, no longer broken, no longer small. This wasn't the end of the story, but it was the end of something darker. The end of the version of me who believed love meant carrying everyone else while I sank. Now love looked different. Love had boundaries. Love had self-respect. Love had peace. And for the first time I realized, maybe this wasn't revenge at all. Maybe it was healing. 2 months later, I was standing on a platform again. The same weathered wood. The same stale coffee smell drifting from a nearby kiosk. The same whistle of an approaching train cutting through the morning air. But everything else was different. I was different, a new job offer clutched in my hand. A new apartment waiting in another city. A new chapter that didn't begin with someone else's needs, but with my choices. I adjusted the strap of my suitcase and smiled faintly. It felt poetic, almost cinematic. The girl who was once left behind at a station was now leaving by choice, and this time, no one was coming to stop her. The night before, we'd all gathered one last time at the old house. It wasn't a dramatic reunion. No grand gestures or sweeping apologies. Just a quiet dinner. Mom had cooked my favorite meal. Jason had shown me his first pay stub. Emily's kids had drawn a crayon picture of all of us holding hands under a bright yellow sun. It was clumsy, awkward, and raw. But it was real. And real was enough. Over dessert, Mom had placed a small box in front of me. "What's this?" I asked, lifting the lid. Inside was a train ticket, framed in a simple wooden border. My original ticket, the one they'd canceled that day. "I found it in a drawer," Mom said softly. "I wanted you to have it, as a reminder of what we did, and how far you've come." I stared at it for a long time. That piece of paper had once represented everything broken between us. Now it was a symbol of how much had changed. "I forgive you," I said, the words trembling but true. Mom's eyes welled up. "You don't have to." "I know," I whispered. "But I want to. Forgiveness. It wasn't an eraser. It didn't wipe away the pain or rewrite history. But it was freedom, and I wasn't forgiving them for them. I was forgiving them for me, because hate is heavy, and I had carried enough weight for one lifetime." The train pulled into the station, brakes screeching against the tracks. People shuffled around me, their chatter and footsteps echoing across the platform. I should have felt nervous and maybe even scared. But all I felt was peace. My phone buzzed. A text from Jason. "Good luck, sis. Don't forget to send pics of the new place. And hey, thank you for teaching us what love actually means." Then one from Emily. "The kids are counting the days until they visit. They're proud of their Aunt Lana, And finally from Mom. I miss you already, but I'm so proud of you. I closed my eyes, breathing deeply. Not long ago, their messages were filled with demands, guilt, and manipulation. Now they were filled with pride, support, and love. Real love. Not the kind that takes, but the kind that gives back. As I stepped onto the train, memories flickered through my mind like a film reel. The platform where they laughed as the train left. The hotel room where I ignored their desperate calls. The diner where I set my boundaries. The dinner table where we found our way back to each other. Each moment a scar. Each scar a story. Each story a step toward the person I had become. The conductor's voice crackled over the intercom. Next stop, Chicago, I smiled. A new city, a new job, a new life. And for the first time, I wasn't running from my past. I was running toward my future. The scenery blurred past the window, fields giving way to suburbs, suburbs to city skylines. I watched it all with a calm I'd never known before. Somewhere along the journey, I opened my laptop and began writing an email. Not to them, but to myself. A letter I knew I'd want to read one day when doubt crept back in. Dear Lana, you are not weak for loving them. You are not foolish for forgiving them. And you are not selfish for choosing yourself. Once upon a time, they left you stranded. But the truth is, you were never stranded. You were simply waiting for the courage to walk your own path. And now, you're not waiting anymore. Love me. I hit save and closed the laptop, leaning back as the train roared ahead. Hours later, the city skyline came into view, glittering glass towers, endless streets, and the promise of 1,000 untold stories. My new home. As I stepped off the train, suitcase in hand, I felt something strange, a sense of arrival I'd never experienced before. It wasn't just about geography. It was about identity. I wasn't the family's safety net, the fixer, or the punchline anymore. I was Lana, whole, worthy, unapologetic. And as the station doors slid open and the city welcomed me with its noise and chaos, I realized something profound. They hadn't stranded me at that station years ago. They'd set me free. Weeks passed. Life unfolded in small, beautiful ways. New colleagues, new friends. Late-night walks through streets that still felt like possibility. Every once in a while, I'd get a message from Mom, or a photo from Emily's kids, or a call from Jason just to talk. And every time I smiled, because we weren't the same people anymore. We were better, not perfect. Never perfect, but better. One evening, as I stood on my apartment balcony watching the sun sink below the skyline, my phone buzzed with a video call. It was Mom. "Hey, sweetheart," she said, smiling. "Hey, Mom. We were just talking about you. And we had a thought." "Oh," I teased. "Should I be worried?" "We're planning a trip," she said. "To visit you. On your terms this time," I laughed. A sound that was finally light, finally free. I'd like that. And as we talked, about nothing and everything, I realized this wasn't a story about revenge. It never was. It was a story about boundaries, about healing, about reclaiming a life I had once given away piece by piece. They thought leaving me behind at that station would teach me a lesson, and they were right. It did. It taught me how to leave, too. Epilogue. People ask me sometimes if I regret it. Cutting them off, letting them fall, walking away. And my answer is always the same. No. Because sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone isn't saving them. It's letting them learn how to save themselves. And in the process, you might just save yourself too.